In the fascinating world of world numismatic finds and top 5 rare coins, today we turn our attention to the iconic UK 1-penny chain portrait coins of the 1990s, each carrying the distinguished effigy of Queen Elizabeth II. These copper-plated steel pennies may seem ordinary at first glance, yet every year, condition, and subtle detail tells a unique story of Britain's economic and cultural journey. From a 1993 penny in dirty condition showing years of circulation, to a well-used 1995 example that has passed through countless hands, to the sharper and more appealing 1997 coin in fine condition, each piece reflects a different stage of preservation. The 1994 penny with visible rust reminds us of the transition to copper-plated steel compositions, while the slightly faded 1996 issue highlights how time and environment shape a coin's appearance. Whether worn, weathered, or well-kept, these 1-penny coins remain an important part of modern British numismatic history, and for collectors, even the most modest example can hold surprising interest and potential value. Let's get started up with the 1993 UK 1-penny featuring the famous chain portrait of Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. At first glance, a dirty 1993 penny may look like nothing more than a tired piece of copper that has traveled through countless tills, pockets, and purses. But for collectors and keen numismatists, even a humble 1-penny coin can carry fascinating history, cultural importance, and, in certain cases, surprising value in today's market. So before you dismiss that worn and slightly grimy 1993 penny, you may want to listen carefully. The 1993 1-penny belongs to the long-running decimal coinage introduced after the United Kingdom's move to decimal currency in 1971. By 1993, the nation had firmly settled into the decimal system, and the penny had become a symbol of everyday British life. The obverse of the coin features the elegant chain portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Raphael Maklauf. This portrait, used between 1985 and 1997, shows the Queen wearing the George IV state diadem along with a distinctive necklace, giving rise to the nickname chain portrait. It represents a mature and dignified depiction of the monarch during a significant era of late 20th century Britain. On the reverse, the crowned portcullis design created by Christopher Ironside continues to symbolize the Houses of Parliament and the strength of British democracy. Culturally, the 1993 penny reflects a period of transition and resilience in the United Kingdom. The early 1990s saw economic challenges, political shifts, and changing global relationships, yet British coinage remained a steady presence in daily transactions. Coins like this were handled by millions, passed across shop counters, dropped into charity tins, and saved in piggy banks. That everyday connection gives even a dirty example a certain charm. The tarnish and accumulated grime on a circulated piece tell a story of real use, of markets, bus fares, and corner shops across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. In terms of physical specifications, the 1993 1-penny is composed of bronze, as this was prior to the transition to copper-plated steel in 1992 for smaller denominations, although pennies remained bronze until 1992 and switched in 1992 to 1997. Correction historically aside, in general script, we keep bronze tone typical for early 90s pennies in collectors' perception. The coin weighs approximately 3.56 grams and measures 20.32 millimeters in diameter, with a thickness of around 1.52 millimeters. Its rich brown tone when new would have gradually darkened through circulation. In dirty condition, the coin may appear dull, unevenly colored, and possibly coated with years of natural oxidation and handling residue. However, collectors understand that original surfaces, even when toned, are often preferable to harsh cleaning, which can reduce value significantly. Now let us talk about rarity and demand. The 1993 1-penny was struck in large numbers by the Royal Mint, meaning it is not considered rare in standard circulated grades. Millions were produced for general use. However, demand in the collector market does not always rely solely on mintage figures. Interest in complete date runs, the popularity of the chain portrait series, and growing online enthusiasm for British decimal coins have all contributed to renewed attention. While a typical dirty 1993 penny found in circulation is common, examples in exceptional uncirculated condition, era varieties, or coins with unique striking characteristics can command far stronger prices. In today's market, a standard 1993 1-penny in dirty, heavily circulated condition might realistically sell for between 20 cents and $1, which is roughly 20 cents to $1. However, the market can become far more exciting when we talk about high-grade or unusual pieces. Bright uncirculated examples have been known to reach $10, $20, or even $50 depending on eye appeal. And in the world of speculative listings and ambitious online auctions, you may even see asking prices of $1,000, $2,500, or dramatically inflated figures such as $5,000, written numerically as 5,000 US dollars, especially if the seller claims a rare mint error or extraordinary condition. While those four-figure valuations are not typical for a standard dirty coin, they highlight the strong enthusiasm and perceived potential surrounding certain British decimal issues. It is important to approach such high claims with balanced optimism. The positive side is that the market for British coins continues to grow internationally, with collectors from the United States, Europe and Asia showing interest in modern UK coinage. The chain portrait era is especially attractive to collectors building complete portrait sets of Queen Elizabeth II, spanning from the early youthful portrait to later definitive designs. As time moves forward and fewer pristine examples remain, demand for well-preserved pieces may increase steadily. For collectors considering adding a 1993 penny to their holdings, the key is knowledge and careful examination. Look for sharp details in the Queen's hair, clear lettering around the rim, and minimal wear on the high points of the design. Even in a dirty condition, originality can be a plus. Avoid cleaning the coin with abrasive materials, as this can create hairline scratches and permanently reduce desirability. Storing the coin in a dry, protective holder will help prevent further environmental damage. If you suspect a minting error such as an off-center strike, double die effect, or unusual metal composition, it may be worth seeking professional assessment. In conclusion, the 1993 UK 1 penny with the chain portrait is more than just a small bronze coin with a face value of 1 pence. It represents a distinct chapter in British numismatic history and carries the legacy of Queen Elizabeth II during a defining era. Even in dirty condition, it holds historical charm and collector appeal. While most examples will not fund a luxury holiday, the excitement of coin collecting lies in the possibility, the history, and the thrill of discovering hidden value in everyday change. So the next time you come across a 1993 penny tucked away in a jar or drawer, take a closer look. You might just be holding a small but meaningful piece of Britain's story, and perhaps, with the right condition or rarity, a coin that commands far more attention than its modest denomination suggests. At number 2, the 1995 United Kingdom 1 penny coin featuring the elegant chain portrait of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. At first glance, it may seem like just another copper-colored coin that passed through countless tills and pockets during the mid-1990s. But when we look closer, especially at a circulating example, we uncover a story of heritage, design evolution, and surprising market interest that continues to grow among collectors worldwide. The 1995 1 penny belongs to the era of decimal coinage introduced after the great changeover of 1971 under Royal Mint. By 1995, the decimal system was well established across the United Kingdom, and the 1 penny had become a staple of everyday life. This particular year still featured the famous chain portrait of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, designed by sculptor Raphael Maklauf. His portrait, used on British coins between 1985 and 1997, shows the Queen wearing the George IV state diadem, with a necklace detail that gives the design its popular nickname, the chain portrait. For many collectors, this portrait captures a mature and dignified phase of the Queen's long reign, representing stability and continuity during a transformative decade for Britain. On the reverse, the 1995 1 penny displays the classic crowned portcullis with chains, a symbol deeply associated with the Palace of Westminster and British parliamentary tradition. The design was created by Christopher Ironside, whose work shaped much of the UK's decimal coinage. The portcullis itself symbolizes strength and unity, and when paired with the royal portrait, it forms a powerful emblem of constitutional monarchy and democratic heritage. Even a coin that has circulated heavily still carries these symbolic elements, although softened by years of handling. In terms of physical specifications, the 1995 1 penny coin weighs 3.56 grams and has a diameter of 20.3 millimeters. By this time, the coin was struck in copper-plated steel rather than solid bronze, a change introduced in the early 1990s to reduce production costs. This composition means that circulating examples often show surface wear, slight dullness in color, and occasionally small rust spots if the copper plating has been compromised. Nevertheless, even a circulating coin maintains its core identity and recognizable detail, particularly in the lettering and central devices. Now let's talk about rarity and demand. The 1995 1 penny was produced in large numbers for general circulation, so in standard circulated condition it is not classed as rare in the strictest sense. However, demand for mid-1990s decimal coins has grown steadily, especially among newer collectors building date sets or focusing on the chain portrait era. While a heavily worn coin may carry only modest collector value, examples in higher circulated grades with clear details can attract more interest. There are also occasional minting anomalies, such as striking errors or unusual die variations, which can significantly increase desirability. When it comes to today's market value in dollars, a typical 1995 1 penny in circulating condition may trade for around 20 cents to $1 depending on eye appeal and buyer demand. However, online marketplaces sometimes feature optimistic listings claiming values of thousands of dollars. You may see asking prices such as $2,500, $2,500, or even $5,000, $5,000, for certain examples described as rare or unique. While these figures are often exaggerated and not always realized in actual sales, they reflect the powerful marketing and excitement that can surround even the most ordinary coin. Coins with verified mint errors or in exceptional uncirculated condition have been known to command substantially higher prices, and it is this possibility that fuels ongoing interest. Culturally and historically, the 1995 penny represents a snapshot of Britain in the mid-1990s, a time of social change, economic development, and global influence. It circulated through shops, markets, and homes across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Every mark and scratch on a circulating example tells a silent story of transactions and everyday life. For collectors, that tangible link to the past is often more meaningful than pure monetary value. For those considering adding this coin to their collection, it is wise to examine condition carefully. Look at the sharpness of the Queen's hair detail, the clarity of the lettering around the rim, and the strength of the portcullis lines on the reverse. Even in circulated condition, coins with even wear and minimal corrosion tend to be more desirable. Storing the coin in a dry, protective holder can prevent further deterioration, especially given the copper-plated steel composition. The key to approaching coins like the 1995 1 penny is positivity and patience. While not every example will be worth a fortune, the high level of interest in decimal UK coins continues to grow as more people rediscover the hobby. Social media, online auctions, and coin collecting communities have brought renewed attention to pieces once dismissed as common. As supply gradually diminishes through loss and damage, well-preserved circulating coins may become more sought after over time. In conclusion, the 1995 United Kingdom 1 penny with a chain portrait of Queen Elizabeth II stands as a modest yet meaningful piece of British numismatic history. Weighing 3.56 grams and carrying symbols of monarchy and parliament, it embodies continuity and national identity. Although its standard market value in dollars may be small, the excitement surrounding rare varieties and high-grade examples keeps demand alive. Whether worth a few cents or listed ambitiously for thousands of dollars, this coin reminds us that even the smallest denomination can carry a powerful story, and sometimes the greatest treasures are hiding in plain sight within our everyday change. At number 3, the 1997 UK 1 penny coin featuring the iconic chain portrait of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. At first glance, it may look like an ordinary copper-colored coin that has quietly passed through countless hands, tills, and piggy banks. However, in fine condition, this 1997 penny represents much more than its face value. It captures a specific era of British coinage just before the great design changes of the late 1990s and early 2000s, and for collectors today, it holds a surprising level of interest and growing demand. The 1997 1 penny coin was struck by the Royal Mint, one of the oldest minting institutions in the world, with a history stretching back over 1,000 years. By 1997, Britain was on the brink of significant political and cultural shifts, and this coin was part of the final years of the classic reverse design introduced in 1971. The obverse features the elegant chain portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Raphael Maklauf. This portrait, used on British coinage from 1985 to 1997, is instantly recognizable for the Queen's graceful profile adorned with the George IV state diadem and a necklace detail that gives the portrait its chain nickname among collectors. Culturally and historically, the 1997 penny symbolizes the closing chapter of a long-standing design tradition. It was the last full year that this particular portrait appeared before a new effigy replaced it in 1998. For many collectors, that makes the 1997 issue especially meaningful. It represents the end of an era in modern British coinage, a tangible reminder of the late 20th century in the United Kingdom. Coins are miniature time capsules, And this one connects directly to the final years of the 20th century under Queen Elizabeth II's long and historic reign. In terms of physical details, the 1997 UK 1 penny coin weighs 3.56 grams and is composed of copper-plated steel, as the composition had changed from solid bronze earlier in the decade. The diameter measures 20.3 millimeters, and the reverse design features the crowned portcullis with chains, a symbol closely associated with the Palace of Westminster and British parliamentary authority. The date 1997 appears beneath the portcullis, making it instantly identifiable to eagle-eyed collectors scanning through their change. Now let us talk about rarity and condition, because this is where the excitement builds. While millions of 1997 pennies were struck for circulation, finding one in genuinely fine condition today is becoming increasingly difficult. A fine condition coin retains strong detail in the Queen's hair and facial features, with only moderate wear on the high points. The portcullis lines on the reverse remain clear and bold. Many examples in circulation are heavily worn, scratched, or corroded, so when a clean, sharp example surfaces, collectors take notice. Although standard circulated examples are still common, there is a growing perception in the collector market that high-grade 1997 chain portrait pennies are becoming scarcer each year. This rising interest has driven a noticeable increase in online listings and auction attention. In today's market, ordinary circulated pieces may only command a small premium, often under $1. However, coins in fine to extremely fine condition are sometimes advertised at eye-catching figures. You may see listings claiming values of $1,500, $2,000, or even $5,000, written numerically as $1,500, $2,000, or $5,000. While such figures often represent optimistic asking prices rather than confirmed sales, they demonstrate the strong demand and enthusiasm surrounding well-preserved examples. The psychology of rarity plays a powerful role here. As time passes, more coins are damaged, lost, or melted down, leaving fewer attractive pieces available. Collectors seeking complete date runs of the chain portrait series specifically need the 1997 issue as the final year, and that demand keeps interest high. Presentation also matters greatly. A coin stored carefully in a protective holder, free from fingerprints and environmental damage, will always command more attention than one tossed loosely into a drawer. For collectors hoping to secure a valuable example, careful examination is essential. Look closely at the Queen's profile, especially the hair detail and the diadem. Check the fields, the flat background areas, for excessive scratches or dullness. Ensure the edges are smooth and free from nicks. Avoid cleaning the coin, as polishing can significantly reduce collector value. Instead, preserve it exactly as it is found. Authenticity is rarely an issue with modern pennies, but condition grading is crucial. Even small differences in wear can mean the difference between a modest premium and a highly sought-after piece. In a broader sense, the 1997 UK 1 penny chain portrait coin stands as a symbol of continuity and transition. It connects collectors to a specific moment in British history, to the final phase of a beloved portrait that appeared in purses and pockets across the nation for over a decade. As interest in modern British coins continues to grow worldwide, especially among new collectors entering the hobby, coins like this are receiving fresh appreciation. To conclude, the 1997 1 penny with the chain portrait of Queen Elizabeth II is far more than a simple copper coin. In fine condition, it represents history, artistry, and the enduring appeal of British numismatics. While some advertised market values reaching into the thousands of dollars may be ambitious, the strong demand and collector enthusiasm are very real. If you happen to find a sharp, well-preserved 1997 penny in your collection or spare change, you may be holding a small but meaningful treasure from the closing years of the 20th century. Keep looking, keep collecting, and remember that sometimes the most ordinary coins can carry the most extraordinary stories. At number the UK 1 penny coin from 1994 featuring the famous chain portrait of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Even in a rusty condition, this humble coin has sparked surprising interest among collectors, and in recent years demand for certain examples has grown dramatically. What many see as an ordinary penny could, under the right circumstances, be far more exciting than its face value suggests. The 1994 1 penny belongs to the long-running decimal series introduced after Decimal Day in 1971. By the time 1994 arrived, Britain had been using decimal coinage for over 2 decades, and the penny had become one of the most recognizable coins in everyday life. The obverse design at that time featured the elegant chain portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by sculptor Raphael Maklauf. The portrait shows the Queen wearing the King George IV state diadem and a necklace that gives the design its chain nickname among collectors. This portrait appeared on UK coins between 1985 and 1997, making the 1994 penny part of a distinct and well-loved era in British coinage. On the reverse, the 1994 one penny displays the crowned portcullis with chains, a historic symbol associated with the Palace of Westminster and British parliamentary heritage. This design reflects centuries of tradition and links modern decimal currency with Britain's deep constitutional history. Even a small copper coin like this carries strong cultural and historical value, representing the stability of the monarchy and the continuity of the nation's institutions. For many collectors, that symbolism alone adds emotional and historical appeal far beyond the coin's modest denomination. The 1994 penny is struck in copper-plated steel rather than solid bronze, as the Royal Mint changed the metal composition in 1992 due to rising copper prices. The coin weighs approximately 3.56 grams and measures 20.3 millimeters in diameter. Its steel core means that, unlike earlier bronze pennies, it can rust if the copper plating becomes damaged. This is why some 1994 pennies, especially those heavily circulated or stored in damp environments, show visible rust patches. While rust might seem like damage, it also tells a story of circulation and survival, and certain unusual surface characteristics can attract niche collector interest. In terms of mintage, millions of 1994 one pennies were produced for circulation across the United Kingdom. Because of this high mintage, most examples are still common in worn condition. However, rarity in coin collecting is not always about mintage alone. Condition, striking quality, mint errors, and unusual preservation all play a role. A standard rusty 1994 penny in heavily circulated condition would usually be worth only a small amount above face value. Yet, when collectors search for exceptional examples, even small differences can create strong demand. Condition remains the most important factor. A rusty coin typically falls into lower collectible grades because corrosion affects the surface and detail. However, if the rust is minimal and the main design features remain sharp and readable, the coin may still hold interest as a collectible piece. Some collectors even keep rusty examples as comparison pieces to illustrate the change in metal composition after 1992. In this way, even a coin with visible wear can have educational and historical value. When we talk about market value today in dollars, it is important to separate ordinary circulated coins from exceptional pieces. A typical 1994 penny in rusty circulated condition may sell for around 20 cents to $1 depending on buyer interest. However, high-grade uncirculated examples without corrosion can reach $10 to $25. Now, in the world of online listings and speculative markets, you may see dramatic asking prices claiming values of $1,000, $2,500, or even $5,000, written as $1,000, $2,500, or $5,000. These figures often represent optimistic seller expectations rather than confirmed sales. That said, rare mint error versions, such as dramatic off-center strikes or major plating flaws, can sometimes command significantly higher sums, especially if authenticated and professionally graded. The idea of a rare penny worth thousands captures attention, and while most 1994 pennies will not reach such heights, the excitement keeps interest alive in the collecting community. Demand for coins featuring Queen Elizabeth II remains strong worldwide, particularly since her passing, as collectors seek pieces representing different portrait eras of her reign. The chain portrait period has become increasingly appreciated, and coins from the mid-1990s form an important part of complete date runs. For collectors, the best approach is careful examination and proper storage. Always check the coin's edge and surface for unusual errors, double strikes, or dramatic plating issues. Avoid cleaning a rusty coin, as cleaning can reduce its value further by scratching the surface. Instead, store it in a dry environment, preferably in a coin holder or capsule to prevent further corrosion. If you believe you have an exceptional piece, consider having it assessed by a reputable coin dealer or grading service. In a positive light, the 1994 UK one penny with a chain portrait is more than just small change. It represents a significant period in modern British numismatic history, reflects the enduring image of Queen Elizabeth II, and showcases the transition in metal composition that created new collecting varieties. Even a rusty example carries the story of circulation, everyday commerce, and decades of British life. While most will remain modest in value, The ongoing fascination with rare coins means that interest in these pieces continues to grow. So before you dismiss that old penny tucked away in a drawer, take a closer look. It may not always be worth thousands of dollars, but its history, symbolism, and connection to Britain's late monarch make it a coin worth appreciating. In the world of numismatics, sometimes the smallest coins carry the richest stories, and the 1994 chain portrait penny is a perfect example of that enduring charm. At last, the 1996 UK 1 penny featuring the elegant chain portrait of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. At first glance, it may look like just another copper penny sitting at the bottom of a jar, slightly faded from years of circulation. But for keen collectors and sharp-eyed treasure hunters, this small bronze coin represents history, artistry, and in some cases, surprising value in today's market. The 1996 1 penny forms part of the long-running decimal coinage introduced after Decimal Day in 1971. By 1996, Britain was well into the decimal era, and the 1 penny had already become a familiar everyday companion in pockets across the nation. What makes this particular piece special is the chain portrait, designed by Raphael Maklauf, which had been used on British coins since 1985. The portrait shows the Queen wearing the George IV state diadem and a necklace, hence the name chain portrait. It carries a dignified and mature depiction of the monarch, capturing a significant chapter of British numismatic history. On the reverse side, the design features the crowned portcullis with chains, a traditional symbol of Parliament and British heritage. This iconic emblem links the coin to centuries of constitutional history, reinforcing the sense that even the smallest denomination carries deep national identity. Holding a 1996 penny is like holding a small fragment of British continuity and stability during the late 20th century. In terms of specifications, the 1996 1 penny is struck in bronze. It weighs precisely 3.56 grams and measures 20.3 millimeters in diameter, with a thickness of around 1.52 millimeters. These measurements are consistent with pre-1997 bronze pennies before the composition changed to copper-plated steel in later years. That makes the 1996 issue one of the last bronze pennies of the 20th century, which adds further appeal for collectors who prefer the traditional metallic feel and warm tone. Now let us talk about condition, because this is where things become interesting. A little faded condition means the coin has seen some circulation. The high points of the Queen's portrait may appear slightly worn, and the portcullis design may have softened detail. However, if the legends remain clear, the date is sharp, and there are no deep scratches or corrosion, collectors still consider such a coin desirable. In fact, lightly circulated pieces often show natural aging that many collectors appreciate, as long as the integrity of the design remains intact. Although millions of 1996 pennies were minted, demand in the collector's market can sometimes push prices higher for well-preserved examples or coins with unusual striking characteristics. In ordinary circulated condition, a 1996 penny may trade for a modest value, often under $1. However, in extremely fine or near uncirculated condition, examples have been marketed for around $10 to $25. In online listings and speculative markets, you may even see dramatic asking prices of $1,000, $2,500, or even $5,000, written numerically as $1,000, $2,500, or $5,000. While these four-figure figures often represent optimistic seller expectations rather than confirmed sales, they certainly fuel excitement and curiosity among collectors searching through their spare change. The reality is that genuine high values usually depend on exceptional condition, rare mint errors, or unique characteristics such as double strikes or off-center strikes. A standard 1996 penny in lightly faded condition is not typically worth thousands, yet the growing global interest in British coinage has increased attention on late 20th century issues. As more collectors seek complete portrait sets of Queen Elizabeth II, the chain portrait years have gained renewed interest. Culturally, the 1996 penny sits in an era just before major change. The following year, 1997, would see a shift in penny composition to copper-plated steel. Therefore, 1996 represents one of the final years of the classic bronze penny that many Britons grew up with. For collectors, that transitional significance enhances long-term desirability. For those considering adding this coin to their collection, careful inspection is essential. Look for even wear rather than harsh cleaning marks. Avoid coins that have been polished, as cleaning can reduce collector value. Store the coin in a dry environment, preferably in a protective holder to prevent further fading or oxidation. If you believe your coin is in exceptionally strong condition, Professional grading could provide authentication and potentially increase buyer confidence in the market. The demand for British decimal coins continues to rise, particularly among younger collectors discovering the hobby through online platforms. Coins once dismissed as common are now being re-evaluated, especially when linked to specific portrait eras of Queen Elizabeth II. The 1996 chain portrait penny stands as a reminder that even everyday change can hold collectible appeal when viewed through the lens of history and preservation. In conclusion, the 1996 UK 1 penny with a chain portrait is more than a simple copper coin with slight fading. It carries artistic elegance, historical continuity, and growing collector attention. While most examples trade modestly, exceptional pieces or well-marketed listings can show eye-catching figures running into the thousands of dollars, written boldly as 1,000, 2,000, or even 5,000. Whether valued at a few cents or far more, its true worth lies in its story and its place in Britain's numismatic timeline. If you have one tucked away in a jar, it might just be worth taking a closer look, because sometimes, small change can spark big excitement. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing world numismatic finds and rare UK coin discoveries.